everyone, my name is Alina Carvel. Thank you for watching. I wanted to introduce you to our new baby. Isn't he cute? He doesn't have a name yet. I believe he's a black pastel. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. We adopted him and I think he's about 2 or 3 months old. And yeah, he's just great. It was kind of random, but I really wanted like 6 ball pythons instead of 5, which is what I had. Don't ask me why. It was like 6 is an even number. It feels right. We had this spot, we had an extra tub, and I was like, I just want another guy in there. And this opportunity happened to come along, and we nabbed him. So he still needs a name, but he does have a little bit of stuck shed. So the humidity in his tub is around like 75%. So hopefully that helps him get it off. If it doesn't, then I will put him in a humidity box. And if you haven't heard of humidity boxes, it's a really great way for helping them get rid of any stuck shed. Look it up. Otherwise, I will do a video as soon as I can about those too. So I'm gonna put him back. I don't want to stress him out too much since he just got here. So I wanted to talk a little bit more today about how I heat my plastic tubs. Obviously, I don't use the same kind of tubs that most people use with snakes or ball pythons in general. Most people use the more shallow type of tubs in some type of rack system. There's nothing wrong with doing that. I personally really like to provide them some more vertical space for activity. So it's really up to you, whatever you want. Anyway, obviously with these types of tubs, you're gonna have a little bit more issues with heating. Most people with tubs are gonna use some type of heat tape or under tank heating source. I do have heat pads underneath these. I have just adhered them to the bottom of the tub, and then I've put some bumpers on the corners to give a little bit of space so that there's some airflow, and that way that they don't overheat. I also have them on dimmers. You can buy lamp dimmers that are made really for lights, so you can dim lights, but you can also use them with heating pads. You just need to check to see what the wattage is on the dimmer. So like most of the time these heating sources don't really, they're like 15 watts or something, so you're not going to have an issue, but just check. The other thing that I do is I have a heat lamp on a lamp stand. I had a question about how I do that, and I'm going to go into a little more detail about how I do that. So you can buy these lamp stands on Amazon. They're about $25. I've also seen them at like PetSmart, but they're a lot more expensive there. They work pretty well. I haven't really had an issue with them. They can be kind of like sticking when you're trying to adjust them, but other than that, they work great. I don't buy one specific type of heat dome. I like the ones that have like a hook on them because I feel like that's more safe. It's not gonna, these won't slip out and hit the plastic because then obviously it would melt. If they don't have a hook on them, what I do is I wrap kind of loosely because you don't want to hurt the cord, but I'll wrap the cord around the actual lamp stand so that if anything does slip, it's not going to fall onto the tank. But be careful, or like I like to say, be careful, and just be aware of what's going on. Check these to make sure they're not unstable, and because you know, things can happen, especially before you leave the house, you want to make sure that everything is, you know, in tip-top shape so that nothing falls and potentially hurts your poor little noodle. Anyway, it's really important when you have a heating source, I believe on a tank or a tub, that you have some type of regulation. I use the Zilla heat and habitat lighting temperature controller. That's what it's called. I have bought it on Amazon. It comes in 2 different sizes, in 1,000 watt and a 500 watt. So the 1,000 watt holds up to 3 heat sources, and the 500 watt holds just 1 heat source. My only complaint about this product is like the 1,000 watt, which holds up to 3 heat sources, only comes with 1 probe. So it's really trying to just heat 1 habitat or enclosure. What I've done is use that 1 probe in 1 tub, and it's actually, the lamps for both of these 2 tubs are going off that 1 probe. It's not really supposed to work like that. And the only reason why I continue to do it is because I've noticed that these tubs tend to be right around the same as far as temperature. These tubs are also going off 1,000 watt, and they are also pretty much the same. You want to make sure that if you're going to do something like that, that you're constantly monitoring the temperature within whichever tubs you're deciding to do that with. If it stops working, then you want to find a different way to monitor each individually. There are products out there that are a lot more expensive that will do that, such as the Herbstat, or Vivarium Electronics has one that's really similar. What I do is I have a digital reader in the tank, the tub, and then I also check really regularly with a temp gun. These are super cheap. They're like $10, $12. You can find ones that are more expensive, and they work great. These are just checking surface temperature. So it's really important also to have a digital reader that's checking the ambient temperature. And I only have 1 in each tub. There may be a need to have 2, but I'm not looking for a gradient here. I'm trying to just do an ambient temperature. Obviously there are hot spots because I have a heating pad under the tub, and I check that with surface temperature. So I keep the hot spot around 88, and then the ambient temperature I keep around 85 or 86. I have found that if I set this to about 88, 89, it keeps the ambient temperature at about 85 and 86. However, that's going to change depending on where you live, how hot or cold you keep your house. The thing about taking care of snakes is that or any animal really that requires extra heat or, you know, some type of temperature requirement, it's going to vary a lot depending on where you live and depending on your house. We actually have a vent right above these guys, and right now, since it's cold outside, we have the heat going, and so the heat is actually coming down on these guys, and it helps keep things pretty consistent. We don't keep our house super warm. We have in the past kept it super warm, and that makes things easier, obviously, but that gets expensive. So what I do is just close the door in this room, and all the heat equipment provides a better temperature overall. Anyway, to sum things up, I have a temperature regulator. I use a lamp stand. I approximately keep this about, from the bottom of the lamp to the lid, of the tub is about 8 to 10 inches. There's no magic number that I've found, but just in setting things up and like finding a spot that felt like safe and respectable, turns out to be between 8 and 10 inches. The type of bulb that I use is this one. It's Terra. It's a night heat lamp. This one's 100 watts. I think with tubs you can get away with probably 75 or 50 watts. I've just been using 100 watts, so that's what I'm doing right now. I may go down in the future. I really like these because it's simulating moonlight. And these animals in the wild are nocturnal. They're usually active at night. I think that that's a really good thing for them. I think that being active at night is giving them exercise. It's giving them more of, you know, their noodleness. Like, that's part of being a noodle, like you, or a ball python. Like, you sleep all day and then you come out at night to look for food or, you know, someone to mate with. And that's also why I give them so much stuff in their tubs. A lot of people don't really give them anything besides like a bowl of water in their tubs. Obviously that works, and I'm not gonna say anything bad about that. Like, I don't have these like really strong feelings like I'm gonna hurt, like I don't like these people who do this, because obviously it works and the ball pythons are doing fine. I personally like them to be a little active at night. They're not active every night. Like, if they've eaten and they're like really full or something, they might not come out. They're not out all night. I've found that it's kind of like, they're like, oh, I'm gonna go for a romp. And then they like do their thing, and then they're like, oh, that was tiring. And then they rest for a while. Maybe they come out again, maybe they don't. It's just, I have been one of those people that has been able to watch them at night. And part of that is because also I give them a lighting source at night. If you're using a ceramic heat emitter, you're not gonna see them, you're not gonna be able to like observe them in the dark. Because ceramic heat emitters don't provide any light, obviously. They're just heat. I also have nothing wrong with those. If that's what you want to use, you don't want to give them any type of light, that's fine. They don't need it. However, I've used those in the past, and I have found they're just not as active. It doesn't encourage them to partake in normal nocturnal behaviors. So I really like these. Also, a lot of people will say that ball pythons like despise light. They hate it. They're like they don't want any light. They do see light in the wild. Like, they don't normally come out during the day, so it's not necessary to provide them with a day light source. You can, it's not bad. I actually have done that in the past, and Coco was like a weirdo and would come out and like bask in it. So I'm thinking that some of them don't mind light. They actually, you know, they kind of like it sometimes. Not everyone does, not all of them that I've done that with will do something like that. But I don't think that there is as strong of like a I hate light feeling for them as some people like to say. These lights, however, aren't providing a ton of visible light. They're quite dim. They're actually, like, if you're trying to light, like really be able to see stuff, these aren't the way to go, because they're simulating moonlight, which is pretty dim. For example, Gilly, who is in this is a 40-gallon tank. I'm not gonna go into that right now. 40 gallons usually not the way you want to go, but it works for him, so I'm not moving him. But it really only lights like a small amount of here, and then the rest is sort of just like very dim. I haven't found any of these lights to bother anyone. Everyone still feeds normally. Everyone doesn't seem stressed out, so I'm continuing to use them. So, but other than that, it's really up to you and what you decide that you believe in. See if I'm forgetting anything. If I'm forgetting anything, if you have other questions, comment below. And I will keep going with these videos until someone tells me they're not any good. I will at some point go into a more in-depth, like how I set up a tub for a ball python and stuff like that. So, and I will also go into a little bit more how I take care of a tank. So thank you for watching, and feel free to subscribe, and I will see you later.